I was actually born in Pyeongtaek, South Korea. I was born disabled, and the doctors wanted to kill me. My uncle, who is Caucasian, he's a U.S. veteran, but during that time he served, and my dad called him from Korea, and he said, they're going to kill my baby girl. My uncle, who is from Dallas, Texas, he said, well, you better tell them Koreans to step away from my little niece, or they're going to have the Texas boot up the butt. So
That's how us Texans roll. That's how we roll. Okay.
yes. So my uncle and my dad actually fought for my life. The doctors told my parents the type of condition that I have, I cannot live over a year old. Well, we proved them wrong because I'm way over 1 year old.
What was the condition, if you don't mind me asking?
I was born with congenital syphilis, stage 3, as an infant.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And I use this to educate teen pregnancies, especially young girls that are still having unprotected sex, that sort of thing, because I am the child that stemmed from the STD, and they don't realize that just because you got chlamydia or gonorrhea, if the baby has it and the baby has it in a later stage, it causes so many other disabilities that people don't think about. Because of the congenital syphilis, I have hip dysplasia. So I used to walk around with the Forrest Gump type of braces. I didn't walk for a while. I was in a wheelchair. And in the Korean culture, that is considered taboo. If you have a disabled child, then they see it as an urban legend that God punished you or cursed you.
It's awful.
And so
I see you as a miracle. You know that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Like you were supposed to not make it past a year. That's what the doctor said. Look at you.
Yep.
Look at you. Like you're a miracle. That's a miracle from God, not the other way around.
Absolutely. So by the time I became stable, because my uncle flew out to Korea, put me under his guardianship, and so that meant I belonged to the U.S. government, so the Korean doctors could not kill me, otherwise they would be charged for a criminal act instead of a cultural sacrifice. So once I became a year old, I got healthy, and me and my father flew to the United States in Dallas, Texas, and my uncle used to live in Oak Cliff back in the 70s. And it was a 2-bedroom house with more than 6 people living in it. So whenever I hear people today that says, I can't afford rent, well, invite 6 more people in that 1-bedroom apartment.
I can kind of relate to that. Growing up, my house was like a homeless shelter, and we had just so many people, crammed in there. So I get it. I understand.
The unfortunate part is that both my parents in Korea back in the day, you only had public education up to the 5th grade. After that, you had to pay your tuition. So neither of my parents had a high school diploma, had anything. And so Dallas to them was a high economy, even in the 70s. So we ended up moving to Oklahoma. So I always tell people, yes, I'm an Okie. And the unfortunate part is by the time I was 3, I was raped by a babysitter from 3 to 6 years old. And I didn't realize it was a reality for me because I remember as I got older, I would have like these glimpses of memories, but I wasn't sure, is it real? I remember the guy is real. Am I making this up? I kept thinking something's wrong with me. The other side of it is I was beaten at home. I was the oldest in my family. And so there was high expectations in the Asian culture, especially Korean culture. You're the oldest. You're supposed to be the example. You're supposed to be the smartest, the strongest. And because with me being disabled, that kind of, cut my chances of being this proud daughter. And also, my first language was actually Korean. Going to kindergarten, the principal sent me back home. Says, don't bring her back until she knows English. So I ended up living with my uncle, who was Caucasian, with my half Caucasian, half Korean cousins. And so I got to learn English. But by the time I came back home, I lost all of my Korean because my parents were told, you're an American now and you can't speak that language. And so, but I didn't grasp on the academics the way my peers did. So I got held back twice. And so, in order to hide the embarrassment from my parents basically told their other Korean friends that I was just retarded. That's why I got held back. I'm the oldest of 4 girls. All of my sisters made A's and B's. I was the only one that made D's and F's. And then going through school, I was sexually abused. I was sexually abused by a principal. I was being beaten by first grade teachers that told me to go back to China where I belong. I had all these issues going on. And on top of that, being sexually abused constantly by different predators. And so I didn't know that was unhealthy.
Well, hold on. I want to stop here, if you don't mind. I want to stop here because, like, I don't think, like, for the audience listening, like, you said from 3 to 6, right? There was somebody who was, you said, raping you and taking advantage of you. One of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this space and helping in this cause is because, when I was very young, I was also molested myself. And it's hard to get out and share that. Like, it's hard. Like, there's a vulnerability that it takes. And, I think it's a lot more common than we talk about. And it's not talked about enough. You know what I mean? I think it's a lot more common. And people need to start talking about it. You shouldn't be ashamed of it. It's not your fault. If it happened to you, it's not your fault. Don't be ashamed. But we need to talk about it so we can start solving this problem. And we're never going to solve it completely, but man, we need to fight back for sure.